Good morning, everyone. Today, June 10, 2024, at 9 in the morning, I call for order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Supervisor Aliaga.
Here.
Clerk Newbeck here. Treasurer Brown.
Here.
Trustee Morocco.
Here.
Trustee Nalamothu.
Here.
Trustee Ritchie.
Here.
And Trustee Tedder.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. All right.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda by changing item G1 from closed session to open session at the request of the employee, and also to add closed session to discuss a legal opinion.
Support.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. Board public announcements. Anybody from the board would like to say something? No? Moving on. Public comments. Anyone from the audience? Okay. We're going to item G. So we have to wait, right? I guess for a few
I
minutes.
think I have Township Legal.
Yeah, sure. Nancy.
Good morning, everyone. First, I want to say thanks for everyone for changing your schedules and making sure that you were here to accommodate this request. The employee was engaged in some disciplinary action and provided with an investigative meeting, and informed that the township was considering serious discipline, which may include termination, and was advised that she would be entitled to due process through a louder mill hearing the following day, which is required for public employees. That meeting was set and the employee was informed, and she was given an opportunity to submit something in writing if she did not want to show up, and that is what happened. So she provided information stating what her concerns related to the discipline were, and then later requested reconsideration. As these decisions were made by top-level employees here, the reconsideration then would come from the board, where we were requesting the board's input on the matter to get some feedback about whether it should be reconsidered or not. When the employee was notified that the board would be able to hear for reconsideration, we also advised that it could be in closed session so that the information did not have to be public. That was her right. Requested closed session. Once informed that closed session was granted, wrote back and wanted an open session. When informed that the open session would be fine and we would use an open session, changed to, I don't think that I'm going to come to this meeting and they are not here now. So for that reason, we would not go into a closed session to discuss her performance as the employee is not here. And we would just make sure that you were aware why you had the meeting and say thank you, that there were concerns, and looking for reconsideration. And that's where we're at right now.
Okay.
So that's where we would not be discussing the employee's performance necessarily right now because they're not here.
Okay. Any questions from board members?
I have a
No
question.
comments? Sure.
Explain the process to get to this point where what has to happen to get to this level of, is it a complaint with HR? Is it a complaint from elected official? What does it take to get to the point where we're evaluating the performance of an employee?
To the trustee, through the chair, we got to this point because of the request for reconsideration. The authority to make hiring and termination decisions generally falls with the supervisor, and then within the clerk and treasurer offices, they have autonomy there also. So because reconsideration was requested, the only place that we could get reconsideration was through the board. But we wanted to be very clear that we were not asking you to make a decision. We were just asking that you have an opportunity to hear what was going on and weigh in with some of your thoughts about how it should be handled. Parallel to that process is, as she made these complaints, the township has a complaint process where you go to your supervisor, the next supervisor, and ultimately you would end up in front of the board. And because of the complaint and who was overseeing it, the board would be the step that it would go to. So it was twofold, really, why we were reaching out here. One, to offer reconsideration for the termination decision, and two, to let the board know about the complaint and have an opportunity to weigh in there. So that's how we ended up here.
So what you're saying is that somebody, her supervisor or their supervisor wanted them terminated and then told them that, and they had an opportunity to rebut that decision?
So
Or-
when they are advised that there's a disciplinary action, they're told that it's serious and it may include termination. But the decision is not made until that hearing, that due process hearing, is held with the employee, where they can come and provide, information about what concerns they have. This employee submitted a written statement and really did not address the performance concerns, but rather made complaints about her work environment and those around her. So we looked at that as this is a twofold thing. I'm asking for reconsideration on the disciplinary decision, and then I'm going to ask for the complaint process to go forward. So we wanted to make sure that we afforded this employee with as much due process as we possibly could. And that's what's happened. They received, just so that you know, this employee has not even been here for a year. So the amount of due process being afforded is beyond what the law, in our opinion, would require.
So to what level of complaint, whose complaint triggers this? A complaint to the supervisor about someone, or or one of the full-time electeds?
It was just a complaint in general about the whole process. It wasn't directed at any one person. Stones were certainly thrown in the complaint about multiple people in the township employee, but there was no specific allegation against any one individual. It was multiple.
I guess what I'm just fuzzy on is just, so some people are just terminated. I hear, somebody's just let go and we don't hear about it.
But this person asked for reconsideration, so we wanted to get input from the board because you're the next level. All the other folks that were involved had already weighed in. So we really wanted to make sure that the employee's voice was heard. So it was coming to the board to consider, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think we should change course? And ultimately, that decision falls with the finance director, who would make the decision to terminate that employee. But the other levels had already been consulted, so to afford due process, it came to the board. And to be clear, the level of errors that we're talking about, these are serious errors that total more than $100,000. There are missed payments, there are overpayments, there are employees that did not receive paychecks or that did not have contributions for their retirement corrected. In one instance, an employee had to enter a payment plan to pay the township back for the money we fronted because of the mistake. And I believe the trustees here even missed a pay due to the employee's error. So there have been a number of serious errors, any of which could potentially be considered terminable. But that's what
And
Yes.
whose job is it to make sure that the employee was properly trained to do what they're saying they didn't do correctly?
So training would fall under the purview of the supervisor that she has. However, this position was a high-level deputy position, which you would assume would have, as they attested on their letter of interest in their application, the skill sets needed to do basic financial tasks in accounting. And it proved that that was not the case.
Question?
Yeah, so focused on the performance piece. I know, again, there's sort of a counter response, if you will, right?
Yes.
Attesting to the work environment, but focused on the catalyst here, that would be the performance piece. If you're able to say, how many layers of leadership before this individual was brought to the board level? So for example, is there a manager and then a director and then the elected of that department and then the board? How many
Correct.
layers of leadership are we talking
So
to get
the
to this
trustee,
point?
through the board, you would have the immediate supervisor, the leader over that entire department, which is the clerk's office, and then there was input provided from the supervisor's office as well. We advised them of what's going on because again, the supervisor ultimately has that personnel authority, but when it's another elected's department, whether it's a treasurer or clerk, they also have autonomy in there too. So ultimately, it would go finance director, clerk, and then the supervisor would weigh in, and then the next level would be the board.
And those 3 levels have already been
Yes,
applied.
yes, sir.
And the manager, the direct manager over this individual has been supported at those subsequent levels, at both the clerk's office, supervisor level, and now to the board.
It's
for
my understanding that that's
reconsideration.
been the case.
Okay.
It's our understanding that a introductory performance review with this employee was conducted towards the tail end of the introductory period, where the employee was advised, you know, by June, we need to make sure that you're performing these tasks. Here we are at June, and those tasks and many others have not been met with satisfaction. So that's how we landed here.
All right, and one last thing, other than the question and answer piece that we're going through right now, we're otherwise limited in even giving consideration to the reconsideration because the employee is not here. So our hands are tied regardless. Okay, I'll leave it.
Yeah, through the chair to the trustee, this meeting has pretty much been rendered ineffectual because we're not going to talk about the employee's performance without them here. We technically could, but we're not gonna, to do
Right.
that. And then they're entitled to a closed session, which they initially wanted, and then since they're not here, it's probably more appropriate not to have you do the reconsideration, as you're not going to be able to hear fairly what we're presenting as well as what the employee is presenting. And so we would just then advise you of new information related to a pending legal matter in closed session, but we would not be able to talk about performance or anything in there.
Okay.
That's moot now.
All right, thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Anything? All right, I believe the employee won't show up, so, and Terry?
I just thought of a question,
Sure.
and it's probably for you. Because I guess I'm just curious, in the long run, if something does happen to this employee, who's responsible for today? It does cost us being here. I'm just curious about the finance part. Is it something that they end up paying for if it turns out not in their favor, or because they technically called this? It's just a question for the future.
To the trustee through the chair, that is a great question. I don't believe that there are any level of recovery cost, fees the same way you would like for a false alarm here, but you are correct. This has cost everybody time away from their jobs, time here to provide the reconsideration that was requested, which was canceled last night around 9:30-ish, something like that, and there wasn't an opportunity to provide appropriate notice to cancel or anything like that, so we're moving forward.
I guess just for the taxpayers, because they know we do get paid at these positions to come for these things. So it's just something to put out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I guess we're going for a closed session at 9:14.
I'd like to make a motion to enter into closed session for discussion of a legal opinion regarding pending legal action. And that would be MCL 15.268H and MCL 15.243G.
Support. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
And that's at 9:14 a.m. We actually need a roll call, Jose, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
No, it's Clerk Newbeck, yes. Treasurer Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Morocco?
Yes.
Trustee Alamothu?
Yes.
Trustee Ritchie?
Yes.
Trustee Tedder?
Yes.
Supervisor Aliaga?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
at 9:34 a.m. We're back to session. I need
I'd like to make a motion to return from closed session and resume the special meeting at 9:35 a.m.
Support.
I think a roll call.
No.
No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Any board member comments? No? Okay. I need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Support.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good, thank you.